My name is Hazel Gray, and I cannot speak. I used to be able to, but now I've lost the ability. I have not spoken in 3 years. I didn't talk much before, so that's why no one noticed at first. It all started when I realized, no, rather I was told, that everything I said was worthless.
Why are you wearing these? I take you shopping every year to buy new cute outfits, yet you refuse to wear them. And you wear this. Ugh.
And I don't want to hear a word from you until you hear what I have to say. We've seen your grades, and they're not good enough to get into schools like Yale and Princeton and Harvard. They may be good enough for your teachers at school, but they're not good enough for those schools. I know you have an A in English, but what is English? Writing is going to get you nowhere. If you can speak it, that's all you need to know. Look at me! Everything you have to say is worthless until it makes money. If it doesn't make money, don't even bother wasting your breath. That's the most important lesson that you'll ever learn.
Hazel Jennifer Gray, look at your father.
I took in what he said, all of it. Everything I had to say was worthless. I repeated it over and over until I had it engraved into my mind. It was burned in like a cattle brand. I talked less and less as the months went by. When high school started, I hadn't talked in a full year. The saddest part was, almost no one noticed. I have a boyfriend. His name is Steven. He talks more than anyone I have ever met, and I guess that's why we fit. He makes up for my silence. It's comfortable around him. He doesn't try to force me to talk. He knows I can't. He understands. My parents don't even know he exists.
There's a new contest at the library for poetry. I think you should enter. Come on, Hayes. It'd be great. I've read your poetry. It's amazing, and...
It was hard at first. Teachers would call home complaining about me, and soon my parents took me to the doctor, worried I was a freak, worried I would ruin their reputations. The doctor wrote them a letter, describing what he thought my problem was. According to him, I had undergone some sort of emotional trauma that caused me to lose the ability to speak. He wasn't sure why it happened, but he was certain that I would not be able to talk again. They seemed to think it was my fault. I couldn't find a way to explain that it wasn't me. They told me to be like this. They made me this way. So I bought myself a laptop using Christmas money from my grandparents and began to write. It got easier as the months passed. My English teacher, Mr. Ackerman, taught me how to express myself on paper through creative writing styles such as poetry. After that, I wrote all the time. He also taught me to keep a journal to record my thoughts, since I wasn't able to express them anywhere else. He preferred a handwritten journal, but I liked the idea of having it on a computer, where it was organized, clean, and neat. Mr. Ackerman was also big on publishing. He prompted me to submit some of my poetry to read in class, since I refused to send it to magazines or other contests.
You're the girl that wrote the poetry, aren't you? Stuff that Mr. Ackerman read? Poetry's for pussies. It's all a bunch of emos crying about how much their life sucks. I didn't get any of yours. It sucked.
Hey, just because you aren't cultured or intelligent doesn't mean that it was stupid. Grow up, Paul.
Why don't you let her say that? Oh, right, she can't. She's a freak.
My classmates were as accepting as my parents when they found out about my disability, which is the same as saying they weren't accepting at all. I was immediately cast out of any social circle I had previously identified with. Only Steven, an old friend turned boyfriend, stayed with me.
This is really getting out of hand, Hazel. Your grades have been going up since last quarter, but your business grades are steadily dropping. What the heck's going on? Do you not want to take over my business someday? Was that a nod? You don't want to be a businesswoman? You don't want to make money? What do you want to do then, girl? A writer? How do you plan on making money from writing? That reminds me, your English teacher emailed us to tell us how proud he was of you and your recent poetry that you gave him. What is that supposed to mean? You're writing poetry? That's even worse. Nothing says weak louder than poetry. Not that regular writing is any better. It's useless. Funny. You think you're going to be J.K. Rowling or whatever? Keep dreaming, sweetheart. The reason she made it big is because she actually has something to say. You, on the other hand, have nothing. to say. You can't even talk. That's why I've been trying to get you interested in business. I am trying to help you. You don't need any fancy words in business, just numbers.
Hazel Jennifer Gray, don't shake your head at your father.
That's right. You listen to what I'm saying and you think about it.
I did think about it, and I really did try to get better grades in business class, but I couldn't concentrate. I wasn't a numbers person. I tried to tell them. I showed them some of my lesser poetry and essays, but I always found them at the bottom of the trash can. At least they'd have the tact not to crumple them up. My father owned a small accounting firm, and after a while he decided to take me with him one day. He set me up at a table in the conference room with a pile of blank paper and some interest calculations for me to do. I couldn't stay focused. None of the numbers made any sense, and he didn't even tell me what to do, so I wrote some poetry about cubicles. He wasn't happy. He told me how I disgraced his name at work, how they all laughed at him, and how he'd given me a chance to make something of myself, but I spit it in his face. I tried to explain to him that it didn't make sense, that he hadn't explained it to me, and how I really enjoyed writing, how it made me feel like something for the first time in my life. He wouldn't listen. I needed a way to make them listen, to make them understand. It hurts, Mom and Dad. I do have something to say. You just haven't listened. Numbers may make you happy, but they are not what I want to base my life around. Numbers are lifeless and cold, just like you want me to be. But I won't. My passion is in words, in the power of letters and phrases and senses. I have something to say, so listen to me. Listen to me for just once, and you'll see that what I have to say might not be worth money yet, but it's worth reading, worth paying attention to. Numbers can't change the world, but words can.